here in the perimeter, there are no stars. Out here, we is stoned, immaculate.
Hello and welcome. This is the C86 show. I'm David Eastaugh. As you know, we love a special guest. This week it's going to be the turn of Andy Allan, who I spoke to very recently to find out more about life, love and poetry and all that other groovy stuff. Has been in various bands over the decades, including Lightning Raiders, The Professionals and also Hank Dogs. And he also has a club night or a live music night titled Easy Come. I will put a link in the notes below. And also his dad produced Ready Steady Go in the early 60s. So anyway, you're going to find out more about that and lots more. So after several minutes of interesting but casual chat, we get down to the exciting subject of the early formative years. Andy, it's over to you.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Bowie and Bolan, because I actually did meet them at the time. But my dad produced Ready Steady Go.
Yes.
So when I was 12 years old, I was hanging out with the Beatles and the Stones. And I was at the pilot show for Ready Steady Go, and I said to my dad, why don't you get those people who are dancing upstairs in the green room that you keep cutting away to, get them down here in the studio? So my dad said, good idea, Andy. And they said, get rid of all the chairs, get them people dancing down here. And that's kind of where youth TV began.
It started on Ready Steady Go.
A 12-year-old boy at the pilot saying, come on, get them down here, mate.
Yes, my God, that must have been such a sort of eye-opening experience. So when did Ready Steady Go begin?
I think it was like 64 to 66 or something like that. It was only for 2 or 3 years.
So what was his kind of background then? My
dad, his name was Andy Allan. He was in TV and he started off as a reporter on the Daily Express, and then he got into TV and he became head of light entertainment for Rediffusion. And he had this idea to start a TV show for the younger generation. It was really great. Ready Steady Go is seminal, isn't it? You must have seen it.
Well, yes, all those clips. Who were the main presenters of that particular?
Kathy McGowan.
That's the one, the very cool Kathy.
I'm in love with Kathy McGowan.
So did you go along to a lot of those?
Yeah, I went when the Beatles and the Stones were on. There's a few clips of me sort of dancing behind George Harrison and stuff like that. Yeah, I went to when the Beatles and the Stones were on. They were my favourites, and obviously people like the Yardbirds and the Animals. And the thing about Ready Steady Go, it started off they were miming, but then my dad thought, well, let's get them actually, because they did play live, and it ended up being all live performances. So it was amazing to see the Stones and the Beatles playing live, in front.
Well, yes, I mean, and we watched it on black.
200 people,
Well, and we were watching. Well, we've watched it, retrospectively on black and white. But you would have been there watching it in colour, obviously. He says.
Well, no, it wasn't. I was watching it in real.
Yes, well, that's.
But me and my dad, we went to. We went and had lunch with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. They were going to do a New Year's Eve special, but it never happened in the end.
Yes.
We had lunch with them, and he played us a white label of Cold Turkey. So I think I must have been one of the first people to hear his solo.
His solo work, actually, yes. My God.
And strangely now, I run a club down in South London called Easy Come, which I've been doing for 35 years, believe it or not. And Lennon Gallagher comes there sometimes. He's got a band called Automotion. So I must be one of the few people who've hung out with both Lennons.
Yes.
Would you reckon?
That is probably it.
I think Paul McCartney might have done as well, but I think he knows Liam Gallagher. But anyway, that's just a stupid little fact.
Well, no,
but when it comes to I was always in the right place at the right time. I've been very, very lucky, obviously, to be born to my father, but I think I had some influence on him. But then I was lucky. I lived in Camden, and so I used to go to see all the bands at the Roundhouse when I was like 16. See. So one time I saw Bowie play there when he still had long hair and he had a couple of guys on stage playing acoustics. He was playing 12-string.
Right.
I climbed over the stage and found his dressing room, and he was there alone. And he said, I was just a young lad, and he said, "Oh, Andy, I don't know. I feel rubbish because they expect me to be a really great musician, but I can't really play great lead guitar." And I said, "Look, David, don't worry about that, mate. Get a band together. Get a proper rock band." And he said, "Good idea." And he gave me his phone number. I said, "I'll be your guitarist." But I never rang him. But there was a knock at the door. And guess who it was knocking at the door? He'd never met.
Jeff Beck.
No. They made a seminal record together, one of the most influential records ever made.
God.
It was Ian Hunter.
Oh, yes, right, Ian.
And I introduced them because they'd never met. I said, "Ian, it's David Ian." It's just by luck I was just standing there, they'd never met. So that was pretty cool. And then Mark Bolan played his last gig with us at the Speakeasy Club. He really liked my band. It was the Lightning Raiders, and he said he wanted to produce our single, but he had to go up to Manchester to make a TV show, but he'd be back in a couple of months. And he came to see me.
Yes.
The night he died, he came in his Mini so he could park outside the Speakeasy Club. But he was too pissed and he didn't actually say hello, but he saw us play. And that was the night he died. He'd come to see me play.
Oh, my God. That is so weird. And
Gary Glitter, I used to know his son quite well. And he was cool, his son. But I'm just going through the people you mentioned.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I was in a band with Eddie Tenfold Tudor, and we supported Gary Glitter at, I think it was the Lyceum or something. No, it was that. What was that place in Hammersmith called?
Palais.
Yeah, that was it. Hammersmith Palais. Yeah, I think it was there. We played there with
with the Glitter. It's strange. Once I think I did an interview with. It was the bass player, which was quite nice. I know the drummer went on to do a lot of production in the 80s, actually, for the.
Oh yeah, I know the bass player. Because my friends, we've got a band together after the Professionals, and a couple of them used to hang out with the bass player.
Yes, I always felt that they
Passion Puppets, they were called, the band.
Right. So what you were absolutely, you were obviously an early sort of developer there at the age of 12, watching these bands. So were you then there on during 67, the Summer of Love? Did you were at a perfect age, and also with your dad's connections and your own sort of obviously ability to network incredibly well at this stage. So what was 67 like for you and the Summer of Love?
67 was amazing. I went to the Isle of Wight Festival, and that's when Hendrix and Dylan and everyone were playing. I went to college, but I dropped out because I just used to sit in Holland Park every day and play guitar.
Yes. Did you go to join?
Like hundreds of people all sit, just filling. I don't know if you've been to Holland Park, but there's a green in the middle with a tree, and we used to sit there almost every day. But Saturdays and Sundays, literally, be 300-400 people there.
Right.
So it was like we have our own little happenings. It was so good then in those days. Everyone would play music in the park, but now you just don't see it, do you?
No, it was like Itchy Park. No. So were you at that? Did you go to the 14-hour Technicolor Dream? And
I went. I didn't go to the actual Dream, but because for some reason I didn't. I was my best friend Max Bourne, who was in Satyricon. We went there in the morning, and it was still going on, and they were rolling a huge joint, 6-foot joint outside. So I didn't actually go. I went to the. I was part of the event, but I didn't actually go to.
Yes. And did you
go to UFO Club a lot?
I was going to mention Joe Boyd's UFO Club. So you were there watching the early Pink Floyd and probably Art. You must have bumped into Arthur Brown. I mean,
Arthur Brown, yeah. See, you'd see Arthur Brown. He'd play almost every week, and so would Pink Floyd. But I think it was fortnightly, the UFO Club. And also there was Implosion at the Roundhouse where Pink Floyd used to play a lot. Jeff Dexter used to run that.
Oh, good old Jeff. Yes, he was right there on the scene, actually.
Yeah, well, Jeff Dexter was managing Mark Bolan when I knew him. That's how he got to come and see us play, because he'd come to see a band called Alfalfa, he was managing as well. But he's still going. I see him occasionally. He was at the funeral of Sandy from the Pink Fairies. Saw him.
Oh, right. Yes. I thought you were going to say Sam Cutler, who for a while I think managed the Rolling Stones, didn't he, until Altamont, and I think he thought he'd probably better get an easier life. And so then you would have been at perfect age then to have gone from the Summer of Love, which all went very well, then to experience, the party and obviously seeing the Beatles. Then the decade ends on a bit of a downer with the death of Brian Jones, then Hendrix, Joplin, and Morrison, and then the breakup of the Beatles. How did you were at a perfect age?
I think the seminal moment of when it all ended was with Charles Manson. That's what called the Dream. I mean, yeah, obviously people dying, but you kind of got used to it because they just dropped like flies, didn't they? And you thought, well, that's what happens to rock stars,
Yes, well,
it was sad when they died, but look at Mick Jagger and Bob Dylan. They're like 80 odd, aren't they? So I think when they die, it will be even more momentous than Hendrix or John Lennon dying, because you feel like they're just going to live forever. And that when they go, one of them goes, then that will be a really, I don't know how we're going to react to it. It's going to be a very, very important time.
Yes, well, it's amazing because especially yourself.
I'm not wishing them to die, and they could live till they're 100. I mean, look at Richard Attenborough.
Well, I know he's an example to us all. No, it's kind of interesting.
He's 99.
Right, I thought he was very close to the 100. I think his new TV series is.
I think he's 100 in May, so he's next month.
He's got to hang on, hasn't he? He's got to do it. So then,
Mick Jagger could live till he's 100. Who knows? And so could Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Well, Jagger,
they've only got about 15 years to go, and they will be 100, won't they?
They will. And I think Jagger's probably got a bit of because his dad, I think, was a PE teacher, and I remember seeing a picture of the two of them, thinking, that's why he's got that. He took being fit and being active quite seriously at a very young age, and that's probably going to help him, he says.
Well, I think to live a long age now, you don't want to smoke, you don't want to drink too much alcohol, and you want to be careful what you eat,
Yes.
And so keep active, and then just keep going. And I think stress kills you, so don't have a job that you don't like doing. But most people do have jobs they don't like doing, but they've got no choice, have they? But I managed to avoid having a job.
Yes. So you said you went to? Did you say you went to college and then dropped out, or did you?
I went to photographic college, but it was just I hated it, and it was all the 67 was kicking off, so I just dropped out. Yeah.
Yes. So what was your early 70s like because it was a very different musical scene from that sort of 60s to then suddenly seeing the glam rock period. And, I mean, as we mentioned, Dear Old Gary, but there was also all the other glam bands. And also then we had Black Sabbath, then we had prog rock and, the LA kind of Laurel Canyon singer-songwriter experience, and suddenly it was a new chapter. And some people don't. I remember talking to Barry Miles, who was part of that scene of International Times, and I did an interview with him, and I said, "What happened in the 70s?" He said, "Well, we were just all tired. We just wanted to have a break." And Joe Boyd wrote a book on the 60s, and someone said, "What about the 70s?" He said, "Well, that wasn't my decade. I've got nothing to say."
White Bicycles, yeah. Well, Joe Boyd signed my band, didn't he?
Did he?
Because I was in a band called the Hank Dogs. This was in the 90s.
That's right.
And he said that we were the best white sort of middle class band he'd heard for 30 years, and that when he's asked who will be the Nick Drake who people listen to 30 years after they've died, he says Hank Dogs. But Joe Boyd, yeah, he did write a book about the 70s, about the 60s, didn't he? I used to know him then, actually, because of UFO, but went to an extraordinary meeting that he was at with the Black Power and the White Panthers, and we were talking about the revolution that was going to happen.
Right.
Caroline Coon took me.
Good old Caroline. Did you meet the other guy who was part of the White Panthers, which I can't remember his name?
Well, it was like Mick Farron, wasn't it? And
Mick Farron. Did you meet Mick Farron?
I didn't get on very well with Mick Farron, I've got to tell you. Because we when the Oz trials were happening, there was a march through London, and Mick Farron was there with Boss Goodman, and they wanted to fight the police, and they were marching along like that. And John Lennon was there with Yoko, and I don't know if you've seen those pictures, he had a plastic glove on, and he had a loud hailer. And I was walking along, and I said to John, "Why don't we just go into Green Park? Let's not march to the American embassy. Let's just go into Green Park and have a happening and just play music." And he said, "Great, good idea, Andy." And so he went off into the park. But I tried to get the rest of them all to come out, but Mick Farron, he was quite aggressive, Mick Farron. But you can understand it. That was his vibe. He was a bit like the MC5, wasn't he? He looked like that, didn't he?
Yes, Wayne Kramer.
Yeah, that was that.
Yes.
Well, Wayne was the guitarist, but Mick Farron looked like the singer, whoever that was. I don't know his name is.
Floppy hair. I know. Well, he was very vocal at the Isle of Wight, making it a free festival, didn't he? Knocking the wall down. Well,
it wasn't him that knocked the wall down. It was the American anarchists. It was the French anarchists.
The French, yes.
They knocked the fence down. Yeah, that was. But they were pretty cool, though. It was the Pink Fairies were driving around on a flatbed truck playing to the people outside. It was pretty well organised. Amazing thing about the Isle of Wight is you went down to the beach and everyone was naked. There's like sort of 2,000 people on the beach all naked. It was quite a shock to an 18-year-old.
Well, yes, because it's that little retirement home. But I do, yes, it was just, I remember that clip of Chris Christopherson saying, "I think they're going to kill us," when he was on stage, looking quite worried. As he could just, because you could just hear the banging as they were sort of trying to break the
Oh, yeah. I remember it well. It was good, though, because, there was a lot of free festivals in those days. In Hyde Park, there'd be free festivals, like 2 or 3 in a year, and when the Stones played there, that was free. Everything was kind of, it was sort of idyllic, wasn't it, for the early 60s, well, from 67 onwards, for a while before it all collapsed.
Well, yes,
it was quite idyllic, utopia had actually arrived, and everything was free. Didn't need any money, and you didn't need to go and buy tickets for anything.
No. And did you also sort of mix with any people who were doing sort of performance arts? There was a lot of people like Bruce Lacey who was part of.
Yeah, I'll tell you who we used to hang out with as the Mutoid Waste Company, do you know?
Right.
But no, I didn't. I used to. We did hang out with what were they called? Circus Soleil, was it, or whatever that started off as?
Right.
French sort of circus people.
Well, there was the ones who've gone, the Canadian French ones, Cirque du Soleil, which were, I don't know where they started before they ended up doing about 5 shows in Vegas, but I guess they would have started like anybody. But then you were talking about sort of that idyllic period of free festivals, because in the 70s, there was the first Glastonbury, wasn't there? But then, because I come from East Anglia, there was also all these Albion and Barsham fairs that people got into and wanted to sort of go back and live in community and go to Crank's restaurant or cafe. And
but that's I'd still like that to happen now, wouldn't you?
Oh God, yes. I mean, it's and
what's going on now? It's just, I mean, it's quite depressing, really, the situation we're in at the moment. I find
it's yes, it's a whole yes. You kind of think...
I've got I run a night, a couple of nights, and I try and keep the spirits alive in those, and it is. It's free to get in. It's open till 1 a.m, and it's in the middle of London. There are not many places like that. And on the Mondays, we all just sit around. I like to think it's like Greenwich Village with Dylan and Leonard Cohen.
Well, yes, it's a nice thing to do. I've been looking at your posters, Easy Come, which is good.
Yeah.
So was the Lightning Raiders? Was that your first band then?
Yeah, that was... Well, actually, my very first band was called Lawn Mower and the Cutters.
Right.
And we got a gig at the Speakeasy. And then they threw me out of the band. That's happened to me a few times, I'm afraid to tell you. So they threw me out, but I just carried on doing the gigs, and I used to just get pickup bands and play. Speakeasy used to have to play 3 sets, one for the diners early evening, and then one main set, and then on the third set about 1 o'clock you'd just go around and say Phil Lynott, Johnny Thunders, Steve Jones, get up and play, and we'd all just jam. That's how Mark Bolan came to play with us. It was like, so I joined the Lightning Raiders after the Lawn Mower. But I left the Lightning Raiders, much to their chagrin, because Steve and Paul came back from America and they asked me to join their band. So I thought, well, I'm going to get £100 a week to be famous. And honestly, little John, he's dead now. They're all dead, all of the Lightning Raiders, because Sandy was in the Lightning Raiders as well.
Yes.
Little John was a total speed freak, and it was absolutely horrifying to be in a band with him because he'd lose his temper all the time. So that I just wanted to get away from that, and ended up with Steve Jones being junkie, So
there was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of drugs going around. Was that sort of the mid to late 70s? Then the Lightning Raiders.
It was. We were like a pub rock band because it was before punk, so it was 70s.
So was that part of that kind of? Was it Richard Strange, the Doctors of Madness, and?
No, it wasn't. Not really them. It was more. Who would it? Eddie and the Hot Rods and people like that.
Right. But you did a few singles. You did Psychedelic Music, Criminal World, and Sweet Revenge.
Well, that Sweet Revenge and Criminal World, they did that themselves. They got signed to Island Records after I left. But Psychedelic Music and Views was produced by Steve, and Paul played on it, and it was me and Little John. But
right.
The Views came out all right. I didn't mind it. That was the single that Mark Bolan was going to produce, but then obviously we wasn't there to do it, so Steve and Paul did it.
Yes.
On Arista.
Was that your first time in the studio, by the way?
I suppose so, yes, it probably was, yeah.
Did you enjoy playing live at that stage?
Oh, yeah, it was great. We used to play quite a lot of gigs. Lightning Raiders did a Motorhead support tour.
Right. Was this with, was that before Fast Eddie was in the band?
No, he was in it. It was Filthy Animal, Fast Eddie and...
Lemmy.
And Lemmy, and it was he'd written Ace of Spades, and that was pretty dodgy tour because it had the Hells Angels as security, so it was pretty heavy shit. But
had you come across Hawkwind before that?
Yeah, Hawkwind. Yes, I see Hawkwind a lot. they used to play free gigs. They used to play under the flyover in Portobello Road on a Saturday. Just turn up. I remember the dust in Hawkwind. Well, they're a West London band, weren't they? Same as Pink Fairies and
Yes.
Bash.
And how did you get on with Lemmy? Because he was a speed freak as well.
Lemmy is one of the loveliest men I've ever met. He was very wise. And if you had any problems, you'd just go to Lemmy and say, "What do you think, man?" And he'd give you the right advice. He'd just stand by the fruit machine all night with a whiskey and Coke. But do you know Larry Love from Alabama 3? He reminds me. He's very wise as well. I like him as well.
Right. No, I haven't come across that.
Joe Strummer was really lovely man, very, very clever and very astute.
Did you know him as Woody,
it's very
or
sad
just?
How all the...
Did you know Joe when he was still Woody, or was it when he was Joe?
No, I remember him coming to the speakeasy when I was playing. I remember him standing right in the front of the stage with hands in his bondage trousers, staring at me, and I didn't know whether he liked me or not. But we did get on really well. I remember last time I saw him, he was at Glastonbury, and I was walking across the field, and he was walking towards me. And I had my guitar with me. I said, "Oh, Joe, I've written this song. Do you want to hear it?" And we sat down on the grass together, and I played him this song that I wrote called "Canvas of Beauty." And it was really a lovely moment because he really listened to it and said, "Yeah, great, man, really cool." But these people just drop dead. All the good ones seem to die. You know what's happening?
Yes, I know this is not good, is it? Really, I keep thinking the same. Really, yes, it's tricky. So, how did you then? You went through the beginning of pop, really, and then when punk started to emerge, was that something? Because a few people go, "God," then punk came, and it just wasn't our scene. Did you embrace punk with great enthusiasm?
Totally, yeah, I loved it. I think it's incredible. I used to go to the Roxy Club and see like Susie and the Banshees and Generation X and all that lot. I was very lucky that I knew Stephen Paul by then, and they literally lived round the corner from me because I lived in this big squat mansion in St John's Wood, and they lived down by Lisson Grove. So they were just hang out with me all the time. I used to go to sort of punk gigs. I saw the Clash a lot.
Yes.
And I saw the Pistols play at Brunel University. That's the only time I actually saw them play, but that was Sid's first gig. Oh no, I saw them at Screen on the Green. That was it.
Yes.
I saw them a couple of times play actually.
Yes.
They were great. Sid was actually all right playing. You know, when I saw them, he played okay that night, but he hadn't sort of gone into his real bad.
Had you met? Was Nancy about at that stage?
Nancy, yeah, she was, but I never really spoke to Nancy. Sid was lovely. Sid was a lovely guy. Really.
How did you get on with Johnny?
Yeah, he was cool. He was a bit naive though, and he used to hang out with guys who were he was, you know, he was learning. They were very, very young, weren't they, at the time? You know, what were they, like 25 or something, you know, so they were learning about life. So
yes, well, God. Then, yes, during that period, did you come across Chris Spedding? Because I think he was probably around.
No, I don't think I met Mola back in. No, I don't think I bumped into not that I can remember. I might have done. I don't know.
Yes. So then that was like 77 Roxy. You probably met Billy Idol and Durwood and all those great characters.
I did, yeah. I met them all, yeah, because, yeah, well, you know, be on the permanent guest list to the Venue and, you know, Dingwalls and, you know, you could meet the Ramones and...
Did you meet, because I did an interview with, was it Andrew and his wife Susan, who ran the Roxy?
Andrew's so lovely. He had me on the permanent guest list, and he started the Fridge, didn't he, down in Brixton, which was an amazing place to go to. But then they closed it because they changed. They took the premises away, and then I think he might have. I think he did it when it was further up the road. Yeah, lovely guy, and his wife. They're lovely, lovely people. Yeah.
Yeah, God, he was such a nice chap, actually, though he did have to go to prison for some financial issue. I can't remember why, but...
Did he?
Yes, I don't know. I think his accountancy wasn't that good. Then how did you then sort of
You
become
have to
part
go
of...
to prison for like fiddling your books. That seems a bit fucking...
Yeah, I mean, it does now. My God, considering what's going on in the world, you think that shouldn't even be... Anyway, so how did you then become part of the Professionals?
Well, because I used to just hang out with them as mates, and we used to go down Denmark Street, and they wanted to play, so I just used to pick up the bass and play the bass, and we sounded pretty good, and so Steve always wanted to get another guitarist, so we kind of auditioned people, and then Honeyman Scott from the Pretenders came down one night and played with us, and he just said, I don't think you really need another guitarist. It sounds great, just the three of you. And I thought so too, but Steve wasn't that confident to play on his own, so...
Right.
Just be the only guitarist. So, I mean, he's the only guitarist now in the band, but I think he found it quite difficult to sing and play, and it was just too much responsibility. Yes. And I understand that, but when we rehearsed in Denmark Street, it just sounded great. And I was at the studio, Wessex studio, when they wanted to re-record Silly Thing because it was on, Paul was singing on it, on Rock and Roll Swindle. So I was there, and they were trying to redo it, and it didn't really sound great. I said, why don't I play bass on it? We do it live in the studio. So second take, and that was it. And it was their second biggest selling single.
Blimey, that was your vocal on it as well.
No, it's not. I'm just singing. I'm not singing. I'm singing backing vocals on it. But
right. And at that stage, were you being managed by, was it Dave Hill, who'd managed Johnny Thunders and the Pretenders?
No, it was Faulkner O'Kelly, who used to manage Sinead.
Right.
And Boomtown Rats. But I don't know how much I should really say about Faulkner O'Kelly, but his girlfriend was... I don't really want to say things that are libelous.
Yeah, no, let's not go down that avenue of worry and panic.
No, let's not.
Yes, let's skip that. So you did Silly Thing, and then what happened? Then we're into the 80s, aren't we, at this point?
Yeah, well, then that's when Steve started getting really into the smack, and he kind of withdrew a little bit, and it was difficult. And we were just with the Stray Cats were in town, and I used to hang out with them all the time. I even had a quiff and everything. And I was in the venue and was walking down the corridor, and Steve was walking towards me. I said, "All right, Steve, how you doing, man? Look, the Stray Cats want us to support them on tour. Why don't we do it?" And he said, "Yeah, that'd be great, Andy, but you're not in the band anymore." And that's how I got thrown out of that band. So I used to get thrown out of bands for not taking drugs, not the other way around.
Oh, that's just rude. That's just not... God, that was the end of your time with the Professionals.
It was, yeah. And that I kind of gave it up then for a couple of years. Well, as I said, I did this expose in the News of the World, which was just a load of rubbish because they never even had a picture of me. They had some other guy quoted, and people thought it was me that was saying it, but it was some other guy. It was a big mess anyway. And so I was supposed to get paid £2,000, which was all right at the time, but my manager got it, and he got put in prison for cocaine conspiracy charge.
Right.
And he just took all the money and spent it before he went into prison. So I didn't get any of it. I didn't get any of the money for it. But I was kind of ostracized a little bit because I was sort of, I'd done this kiss and tell and all that. But some people were really cool about it. I mean, Joe Strummer just said, we're just going to do all our press releases through the News of the World now, Andy. It's all right.
Well,
but I kind of regret it now. But what the hell, you mess up, don't you? And
God, yes. I mean,
it's just part of it, isn't it?
yes. So then how did you navigate? Because the 80s, again, there's another kind of musical world. I mean, we have Thatcher's in by then, and then we have the Falkland War, then we have the miners' strike, and then we suddenly have a whole, another wave of 16 to 18-year-olds and bands like, well, we had U2 and Big Country, then we had Julian Cope, and then we had the Smiths, who were quite big in the 80s for 5 years, who created that scene. And we had that Trevor Horn production. So as a musician who'd been there from the beginning, how did you navigate your 80s?
Well, I played at a place called the Moonlight Club up in West Hampstead. Yeah, that was when I was with the Professionals, and just before that there's a Moonlight album, and I saw U2 play there to about 30 people, and I was really pissed. When I joined the Professionals, my wife left me. I had enough money to get drunk every night, and I don't think I behaved very well. So I remember that U2 gig. I had a bass guitar, I was swinging it around my head. I was lying on the stage, messing with the edges and changing the settings. And I think I must have been the one that got him his sound.
Excellent.
I mean, I stopped doing that, and then I lived in Wimpole Street in this kind of, it wasn't a squat, we were put there to annoy the people upstairs, and they said, because they wanted to get them out. It was all dodgy stuff anyway, but so they said, make as much noise as you want. So we had a drum kit set up in the living room, and we used to have these amazing huge parties, and I remember Kirsty MacColl came to one of them, and the Specimen played.
Oh, excellent! God, a bit of goth and Kirsty. That was amazing.
I used to go to the Back Cave. That was an amazing place. I met my piano, her name is. I met her there, and we ended up being in a band. She's a singer in the Hank Dogs, and we had a child. We had a daughter, Dixie, who's now 30, who's in Japan at the moment.
Right.
So I stopped playing music for quite a while. I was making jewellery. I was making little snakes out of female and selling them all over the world. So I actually had some money in my pocket from being a jewellery designer.
Yes, well,
so I just kind of stopped playing music. And then me and Lily, that was my daughter from my first marriage, because I was married to this girl called Diane.
What was her name?
First bass player in the Slits. It's one that you haven't heard of, because they used to come and hang out with us in Elm Tree Road, which is the squat we used to live at in St John's Wood. And
right.
So she auditioned for them. She didn't get the job, but they did all play together. It was Kate Chorus, Palm Olive, and Ari Up. And
yes.
And that was. I've got some photographs of her playing with them. And so I was a Sex Pistol and she was a Slit. So we had a baby, which was what Pistols and Slits do.
Wow.
So.
So you were married. You were married to Kate, did you say? Chorus.
No, I was married to Cayenne.
Cayenne.
She never became famous, and it's a long story. But anyway, so what happened was I was in Wimpole Street. We had these parties, and then Eddie Temple lived up the road, and I joined Eddie Temple's band. And then I moved to Brixton, and I was living in a house with piano just by chance. She'd just come back from Jamaica, where she'd lived for 3 years. And her and Lily started playing like Suzanne Vega songs, and we started playing kind of folky gigs. And we played at the Troubadour a lot when David Gray was playing at the Troubadour.
Right. Yes.
So we were really mates with David Gray, and he used to come and play. So then I thought, I can do this. I can start a night like this. So we lived in Nunhead, and opposite where we lived, there's a pub called the Ivy House now, but it's really beautiful, old, with a ballroom, and it's got like wood panelling. It's unbelievable. It's like a David Lynch set. I don't know if you saw. There's a Netflix series come out that Lena Dunham has made. It's called Too Much, and one of the episodes is set at my night, at the Easy Come night, and that's where they filmed that. That's where I started my nights 30 years ago, and that's when people like David Gray came along, and then I moved it down the road, and Florence played there, and used to get all the sorts of, well, not all of them, but some of the stars of tomorrow playing there. Now I still get that now, you know. So Fat White Family kind of got together at my nights, and Shame, and now there's some really cool bands coming up. You have to come and see them.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, the Fat White. Oh no, I'm thinking of White Town. Actually, sorry, it's a different band.
No, Fat White Family. They're kind of they're sort of like a kind of punky kind of prog band. I don't know. It's hard to describe them. But they're quite outrageous. They did.
Because you mentioned Suzanne Vega, whose debut album came out, I think, about 85, 86. So did you become then interested in that acoustic scene that developed during the 80s with people like Michel Shocked, and then...
Yeah, totally. I thought, and then I got into all the old country like Steve Earle and John Hyatt and...
I remember seeing
Love It and people like that, and I started playing guitar a bit like them, you know. So
and there was
so me and piano started the Hank Dogs, and that's how we got signed by Joe Boyd, just because he came to see us play at the Troubadour. And then we made 3 albums, and we went around America 4 times. We supported Joan Baez and had a great time with and we last year we brought out our it's called Fiveways. It's our 3rd album. I like to think of it as our Pink Moon. Like Nick Drake made 2 albums with Joe Boyd and then made one on his own, and that's kind of what we did. We made 2 albums with Joe Boyd and then went and made our own in our own studio, and that came out last year, Fiveways.
Brilliant.
I'm quite proud of the Hank Dogs because we play a very original kind of music that no one else does. We're quite unique, I think.
Yes.
We were the first. When we started, there was no such thing as Americana. You know,
no,
because it was been named. So I think we were the first, and probably not maybe the best, but Americana band from England. You know.
Well, yes, I'm sure, because I suppose in the 90s my music taste had branched out a bit, so I got into all those bands like Wilco, and then there was Uncle Tupelo as well. But there was a couple of singers there was Stacey Earle, who was Steve Earle's sister, and also Gillian Welsh as well, which I thought, and Alison Krauss, and there was all these...
Gillian Welsh, she's the queen of old country, of Americana, isn't she?
She did that song called Revelator, which I still think is probably one of the...
Time's a Revelator. Yeah, we used to come down to our Monday nights because that's the sort of music we play there on the Mondays.
Fantastic. So with the Hank Dogs, going back to the beginning of the Hank Dogs, this was the early 90s, and then you brought out, was it a cassette that you brought out? Reunion was your first?
Yeah, we made that with a band called, we made it with this guy called Tom Greenwood, and he had a lovely little studio in Gypsy Hill, but sadly died just after we'd made that demo with him. And we made a couple of tracks with a band called Praying for the Rain, but Tom Greenwood died. It was so sad. He was only young. He went in for an operation for platelets and they removed his spleen, and he didn't survive it. And we made a few of our producers have died, actually, quite sadly.
Yes, it must be quite the gig, mustn't it? Oh, would you like to produce my album? Just P.S., the last 2 have died. No pressure.
Yeah, have you heard of Dave Goodman? He made Sex Pistols' first record with them, the first demos, Dave Goodman. Anyway, he produced a couple of tracks for us, and he died as well. So
yeah, it's funny. I remember doing an interview with a member of the main guy, Miles. Is it Miles from the Wonder Stuff? And he seemed to... often when he had a problem with a member of the band, and then mysteriously, he had several, and mysteriously they all died quite soon after. He was having some issue with them.
Oh,
He
good.
said, whoops, it wasn't anything mafia related, but we chuckled, as you do sometimes. But then when you got that out, were you sort of quite a live performing band then at that stage during the 90s?
Yeah. We're quite a good band live because of my daughter Lily was playing drums, and she'd stand up and play drums. So it'd be the three of us at the front of the stage. But I would be playing in dadgad, and piano would play softly, sort of the chords, and we had this huge sound because Lily was playing a kick drum and a snare and a ride cymbal. That's all she had. And the three of us would sing, and we could fill a stadium. The sound was massive, huge.
Yes.
I did this sort of finger style playing, and piano would as well, and it would just have this huge sort of dome of music, of kind of atmosphere. It's hard to describe it, but a good Hank Dogs gig was pretty awesome, actually. We went to this thing called the Bumbershoot in Seattle, which is right by the Space Needle. It's a festival they have. And we got the gig supporting Joan Baez in the 3,000-seater opera house, which is in there. And we played 6 songs, and we got a standing ovation. And even when we came out of the dressing room at the back on the stage door, the whole place stood up and applauded us coming out. But Americans love English people who love Americans, so we were kind of playing American music to an American audience.
Yes. So with that first album you did, Bareback, which was produced by Joe Boyd, how did he come across the band? Had you given him a demo?
It was very strange. We were playing at this place called the Loughborough Hotel. We was just doing some little gig there, and I was walking across the dance floor, and Max Reinhardt, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's a world music DJ, was walking towards me, and I was in a band with him at school. He was the piano player, and we hadn't seen each other for 20 years or something, and he said, I know someone who'd really like your music. And he'd just done the benefits to whatever it's called,
Social?
Yeah, Social Club. Yeah, he'd just done that with Joe Boyd. So he said, I think Joe Boyd would really like your music. So he got him to come down and see us at the Troubadour, and that's how we got that gig.
Right. So Max
Reinhardt done it. His name isn't Max Reinhardt, but that's what he calls himself. Yeah.
Well, that's quite exotic, isn't it? No, I'm just looking him up and thinking, oh yes, he has done a lot, hasn't he? Actually. So then you got the numbers together. You'd got it because there's a couple of songs on that album. There was 18 Dogs and Thought Messages, which is just stunning. So how were the songs being composed at this point? Were you
piano? I wrote. We were playing a covers band with most of Flesh for Lulu. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh yes, Fisher. That was a guy.
We shared. We lived in the place Hubert Grove in Brixton, and there were so many bands in that street. Flesh for Lulu was one of them, and the Wooden Tops were down the road. And
was that Rolo?
Yeah, Rolo's down the road. Yeah, I still see Rolo. I saw him last week, actually. Anyway, so we were playing a covers band, and then I started writing a couple of songs to play in the band. And then Piano thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And then she just started writing song after song, incredible songs. She'd never done it before. When she came back from Jamaica, she'd just learned how to play a few songs on the guitar. And then she just became this incredible songwriter. She still is. So I think she said that if he can do it, I'm going to show him.
So was that Nick Marsh that she'd met from Flesh for Lulu?
Yeah, Nick Marsh and Rocco. And
Rocco, he was in a band called Wasted Youth in the 80s.
They're still going.
They're coming to Norwich this month, in fact, in 2 weeks'
Norwich,
time.
I know a band from Norwich. I know Big Steve. Do you know him?
Yes, Steve Arlene, yes.
And I know Brown Horse.
Oh.
Brown Horse, they signed to Loose Music. They from Norwich as well.
Right. I guess you would have been to the Red Rooster Festival, wouldn't you?
I haven't actually been to that. I kind of gave up on festivals quite a few years ago.
Yes, well, not surprised. Did you know Miranda Sex Garden then with Catherine Blake?
I remember the name, but I can't remember.
Because I think they went into Babes in Toyland, which was one of those choir pieces. But she was with Nick at one stage. Well, he passed away, didn't he?
Oh, right. Yes, I know. Yeah, he did die. Yeah, it was very sad. He did die, yes.
He did, yes.
Yeah.
So Bareback.
And all the specimens, that guy from the Specimen died as well. What was his name? Ollie. The guy who started the Batcave, he died as well.
Yeah. Did you ever go to Alice in Wonderland?
A lot I did. I met Jonathan Ross there once, I remember. That was downstairs, wasn't it, in the Gossips?
Because that was Doctor and the Mannix. No, what was it?
That was a great night. Alice in Wonderland was a really good night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was John Clean, who was one of the members of Specimen.
Oh yeah, I've seen him. He's around actually, John Clean. They brought out some kind of Batcave compilation, I think.
Yeah, and he's just done a record with Jar Wobble as well, I believe. So
has he?
Yes, so he's kind of surfaced again, and the same with the first. I think John McKay, who was he in Susie? I think he's now got his band together as well. So
John McKay, he asked me to join his band, but I just couldn't play his kind of music. It was really complicated and sort of jazzy. I couldn't get in. I was hopeless at it. So he asked me to join, and I went for an audition, but no, it didn't work.
So anyway, that was the roundabout way. That's where from Max to Joe Boyd. So where did you record your first album?
Well, we recorded some of it with Tom Greenwood in Gypsy Hill, but we recorded about half of it. The piano decided to leave me just as we got the advance, and she ran off with this Red Indian to LA, and then she came back and we had to record the album, and I was in bits, to be honest.
Well, I'm not surprised. This is a bit Fleetwood Mac.
It was very Fleetwood Mac, and we kind of then we had to go on tour, and we kind of got back together again when she moved to Pembrokeshire, and then that relation, Anyway, we recorded at a place called Sonic Sound in Brixton.
Right.
And then we did some mixing at that place where Nick Drake made his records. Where was it? Up in Crouch End.
Right. So there you go.
But it was like £1,000 a day. But we ended up owing Ryko Disc £100,000, but they wrote it off because we toured 4 times. We were spending just to master the record at was that place in West London. It cost like £2,000 an hour or something. Unbelievable, just to master a record. Can you believe it?
Yes, but it's a great album. Like I said, 18 Dogs and Thought Messages are just...
Oh, yeah, it's a great album. We recorded most of it. Well, maybe not half of it, but some of the best songs like 18 Dogs, Thought Messages, we recorded them with Tom Greenwood on our own.
Right, because he actually died in 97 and you released the album in 98.
Yeah.
So was this his last work that he ever did?
I don't know really what I think... I'm not quite sure what other music he did. He played himself.
Yeah, but I mean, it was very close. And then Joe took over and finished it off.
Well, we used those masters, but we copied them onto 8-track, or no, 24-track. So, and then we used the masters, and we just put a few overdubs on them, but not much. Like 18 Dogs is pretty much as it what we made with Tom Greenwood, and Thought Messages as well.
And did you bring in Martin Barker on drums as well at that one?
That was Quality Time and Lucky Break as a first track, and Quality Time, which is the track that the college radio in America liked the best. Yeah, we got because he wouldn't let us produce it, so we got Sam Harley to produce it.
Right, Sam Harley.
Oh no, I'm doing an interview, so
Yes.
It's all right. You can come in. You can come in.
Did on that front, who took the photo? What was the idea with the cover of that? Because it
What, the Bareback?
Yes.
That was Piano's. Some relative of Piano did that. I don't really know what the idea was. I never liked the cover much, to be honest. But it had that with Lily looking there, and there was a sort of tension between me and Piano, wasn't it?
Yes,
it was quite a lot of that.
Yeah. So once that album came out and you toured it, there was quite a few years before you brought out Half Smile. What was the reason for the such a delay between the two records?
Well, you know what we did? We wrote a whole other second album and went into Island Records and recorded it, but it was on digital, and Joe Boyd wouldn't release it on digital, so he said we had to re-record it. So instead of re-recording it, we just wrote another album and went and recorded it at. Where did we? Oh yes, we did it at the Levelers studio down in Brighton.
Right, of course.
So we recorded most of that. So we'd made that second album, but Joe wouldn't use it. So we went and re-recorded another album, and we recorded some of it with Dave Goodman in Gypsy Hill as well, a couple of tracks. So.
Yes, and was Piano still in the band at that stage?
Yeah, well, Piano is the band, really. Both of us are the band. We wouldn't really be the Hank Dogs without.
No, yes, but that was a much happier cover at this stage.
Oh yeah, I like that one. That's quite a good cover, isn't it? I like that one. We did that. That's Kyann's van. We went and did a photo shoot up in Kentish Town and used that.
So I
do look a bit like out of it, like I'm sitting on the floor. But I really like the picture. I think everyone looks gorgeous in it. And we've got the dog and Dixie's there and everything. So, that's mine, Piano's daughter, even though she wasn't actually in the band. But.
Yes. And when did you start your club then, the one in London? Did you say it's 30 years now?
It's 30. We're in our 35th year now.
And what was the reason? Did you just want to sort of put something back into music at this point?
No, look, the pub opened up opposite where we lived in Nunhead, and I was going to have a birthday party. It was in those days when people had parties, and so I went into the pub and I couldn't believe it. So I thought, let's do sort of like what they do at the Troubadour. So I called it the Hard to Find Club because it's in the middle of nowhere, Nunhead. And then I thought, I'll do this again, but I won't call it that. I'll call it Easy Come, I thought. And it's been going ever since. Now it's at the old dispensary in Camberwell, which is an amazing pub. We've got a lovely stage, and the governor's really cool. He's really into the music. He plays drums himself. And we've got all the lovely monitors and PA and everything. And now I when I started Easy Come, it was acoustic like the Troubadour was. There was no PA.
Yeah.
So now I've got a big mixing desk, 10-track mixing desk and all the DIs and.
God, you've done really well to keep a scene going, actually. It's always one of the hardest things, I think.
I know, but it's so much fun, and I get paid to do it. So I just, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And also get to meet all the cool bands that are coming up in London and see them first before anyone else.
Yeah, well, no, it's good. But it's just, as you kind of probably can tell from your life, especially in music or any scene, they only last 3 to 5 years. Most bands I find doing these interviews last 5 years. They get, they have the 12-month honeymoon period. They get a play on John Peel. They used to anyway, and then a John Peel session. Then the first album, transit band around the country. Second album, transit band or bigger bus, and then third album. That's when the tensions are mounting, and suddenly it just all goes. So keeping anything together is quite hard.
I know, but I haven't kept together the Hank Dogs because the third album we brought out, we recorded it like 20 years ago in our own studio. So we not really happening, an extant band anymore. So
Yes. But then you brought out Fiveways last...
Yeah, Fiveways was we recorded it in our own studio in Crystal Palace 20 years ago. And then we, Scratchy Records, a guy called Bromide, I played it to him when he came out. He gave me a lift home and he loved it so much. He said, why don't we bring it out? But honestly, bringing out a record, just you and one other guy in a record company, is hard work, very difficult to do. Very difficult, and especially on vinyl, because you've got to book in the time for cutting it, and you've got deadlines, and even the artwork was just a mammoth task. Honestly, I just couldn't believe how much work went into it. Because when I made that cassette at the beginning, we just made the demos, and I just took the masters to the cassette place and they copied them, and I just photocopied the covers, and that was it. It didn't take any time at all to do it. But to make a record, you wouldn't believe the amount of work goes into it. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, it was Bromide. It was Scratchy Records. It was his. I wouldn't have come out without him, because he really liked it and he put a lot of work into it.
So had the band finished, or is the band still going? Actually, I'm now confused, aren't I?
Yeah, well, we're a little bit confused as well, so it's not just you.
So
if we got offered a big tour of America, I mean, maybe the band would get back together, but at the moment, Piano's got a new boyfriend and she's making some music with him. Lily lives in Hastings and she plays with, she's got a little band together. Sorry, you've gone. Are you there now?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, yes.
She's got a little band together down in Hastings with a guy called Trevor Deeble, who's in a band called... not sure what his band's called, but he had a club in London. He used to do it at the Betsy Trotwood called...
Oh, the Betsy, yes.
Called the Lantern Society. So he started that, but they all live in Hastings now, and Jason McNiff and people like that all live down there. There's quite a big music scene. Anyway, she's part of that down there. So
right,
she's made some solo records, and Piano's about to do something like that. And I've been working with a guy called Nathan, who's the keyboard player in the Fat White Family. And Richie, he's been doing some mixing and that. So I've got quite a lot of songs that I've never released. So I'm working on bringing out a solo album. Whoa!
I was going to say, so this was recorded 2010 at your Crystal Palace studio.
Yeah.
And so you had the masters, and then you got persuaded to release it. So with the back cover, with all the members, is that quite a recent photograph then?
Yeah, really recent, yeah.
And did it feel quite nice seeing the band once again all together, sort of?
Yeah, lovely, yeah. It was very sweet, yeah.
And did you play any live dates to support?
We did. We played a couple of gigs. We played one at Dash the Henge, which is a record shop in Camberwell, and we played the Herne Hill Festival in the greenhouses in Brockwell Park. So those were our launches. That's all we did.
Yes.
Then we had a little bit of a falling out over various things. So haven't done any gigs since then. But we didn't get offered any anyway. So if we got offered a big tour of America, maybe we would get back together. But I can't see that happening. I've heard it costs £10,000 to get a work permit just for one member now.
Yes, I think quite a lot of people have just given up the whole ever doing America again, which is
I think we were so lucky. We did it pre 9/11, so we were jumping on and off air, internal flights. Yeah, we were there for 6 weeks once when it was Joan Baez. I love it there. I never wanted to come home. I love it in America. I don't know if I'd love it now, but I loved it then.
Yes, I have to say that photograph of you on the band on the back cover is absolutely stunning, isn't it? It all looks...
Fiveways.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just took at the boot sale by Bromide on his little camera. That was just we very rarely ever got were all in the same place at one time. So I knew we were going to all be there, so I got him to bring his camera, and then we just snapped a few shots. And then I got that one. There's a pull-out. I don't know if you've seen that. With there's about 8 of us, and that's with Lily with her boyfriend, and
yes,
my granddaughter Kiki with her friend, and it's just like the family. It's not the band, but yeah, it looks good. I liked it. Yeah,
it was almost the Grateful Dead of the moment, wasn't it? Really, the family. It's just nice.
Band, you know that picture of the Incredible String Band when they're all sitting.
Yes, with Rose and.
Yeah, I love that.
God.
And I think isn't there an Allman Brothers cover that's a bit like that as well, where they're all sitting in the grass. So one of those American West Coast groups, there's one like that as well.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. So there's a lot. So you've got a lot of projects kind of bubbling under at the moment.
I've got a few things going on, yeah.
And did your dad continue his life with an interesting career in sort of entertainment?
He ended up being setting spread bets for bookies. He wrote a book on poker. He was quite into all that, you know. He lived quite long. He lived till he was 83 or something.
And was he quite successful on the poker front?
Yes, he was. He actually, what he did, he moved to LA and sold his house at the wrong time, and didn't really make it in LA, and had to come back to London. And but you know, he was quite active. He used to ride a motorbike until up to the end of his life. You know, so. Did
you keep in touch with your mum at all?
Well, my mum died when I was 25 or something. So.
Right. Did you have any brothers or sisters that gave you any influence or music?
My brother is quite cool. He works as a professor at Bristol University doing music tech.
Right, my God, it's like.
So he mixed the album for us. And I was at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had a deadline, and I was remixing some of the tracks because Lily didn't like the mixes that I'd done, so I was remixing them at 4 o'clock in the morning because the deadline was the next day. Because you have to book in in advance for the vinyl to be cut.
Yeah. God, yeah.
So he helped me do that. Without him, I wouldn't, because mixing and mastering is really tricky. So he was mixing that.
Yeah, so
but he was in Bristol, and he was in Bristol, and I was in London. He was doing the mix, sending it to me. I listened to it on the headphones, and then I'd say what I had to do, and then he'd change it. And
You did mention at the beginning things that kill you, including stress. I would imagine that could have pushed you over the edge.
No, but it was very stressful, but also incredibly exciting because I really loved how it sounded. Every time I'd done a new mix, it sounded better, and so I it wasn't. That's good, that kind of stress.
Yes, and I have to say, the website, well, not your website, but your social media page for advertising your events are all beautifully put together. Who sort of does the artwork for those? I do it. Right. That's very.
I love doing it. I just do it on my phone. I haven't even got an app. I just go to Instagram story or post, and then you can get all the lettering up. I've started using AI, though I've been told off for doing it because it uses up the Earth's resources. But I found out that 5 seconds of animation on AI uses 2.5 litres, whereas making a pair of jeans uses 100 litres. So,
yes,
all art is going to have some cost, isn't it?
Yeah. So you've got your April dates up.
Got my April dates up. I don't go too far in advance. I'm working on May at the moment, but April's all sorted. 5 weeks of April. I did it last night. It was really great. It's jam-packed every week. It's such an exciting night because it's till 1 a.m. and it's free. Where else can you go on a Wednesday night?
Well, absolutely. My God, it sounds amazing. It's so great that, you know, there are little scenes like that still happening. And
Well, I
yes.
don't know of any others.
No, I don't actually. I'm just making it up.
I mean, it used to be Soho. I used to go to the 12 bar at sort of till 3 in the morning, you know, but there's nothing like that now. So this is the closest thing to it. I mean, the Windmill pub in Brixton, it closes at 11 on a weekday because they've got the neighbours, you know.
Right.
The Ivy House, where I used to do my night, you can't go outside in the garden after 9 o'clock because of the neighbours.
Yes.
It's just, you know, because it's in Camberwell. Camberwell's quite a sort of happening kind of, you know, there's sirens going off all the time and there's vagrants wandering around and it's just, you know, it's a really lively place. So you can, you know, it's a little bit more lax. It's not like you're right by a, you know, residential. Though there is residential and we do have to stop the drums by quarter to 12. I have to stop the drums. But then I go into an acoustic sort of section.
Do you have the similar audience of each session, or do you get quite a different mix?
No, because the bands bring their friends, don't they? So you get the mix of the bands. But there is a crew that come down there. There's a band called Omerta and Neuroplacid and Black Bordello, Misty Miller. That's Dominic Miller's daughter, Rufus Miller. He plays with Sting. There's people like that come regularly. You know, there's quite a hardcore of regular people that come to the night and support it and play.
Yes, because I think there was a guy I interviewed a few months ago called Dominic, and he has a folk night, but that's probably quite different. And that's, again, the second Tuesday folk reunion. I think but yours is a bit more branched out, isn't it, than just a singer-songwriter folk nights?
Well, Easy Come is like an indie rock band night now. It started off an acoustic club, but now it's just rock bands. But I do have an acoustic session at the end of the night. But the Monday night is more just sitting around playing, you know, guitars, and there's no microphones or anything.
Yes. God, that's amazing.
And I play drums and a little keyboard and stuff like that.
Yes. Well, that's amazing.
Where's that place you said?
Oh, well, I'll send you the link actually of where it is, and then you can have a look actually and check out what he's up to. But it's kind of nice. He was in an indie band. Yeah. Dominic Savannah. So anyway, yeah, I'll send you the link, and then you can have a look and see.
It's in London, yeah.
Yes, it is in London.
Okay.
So yes, well, hopefully. Well, look, thank you ever so much for your time, Andy. This has been amazing. Yes, I'm so pleased that we managed to work out that technology, which was stumping us, even though you use AI, but we got there in the end.
No, but I use AI in the most basic way. I will just go on to. That's just like an app that's just appeared. I don't pay for it. It just turned up. So.
Yes,
and all that Instagram stuff, that's all just free. I don't know. I'm not a tech head. I have no idea how I do it, but I think you just trial and error. You can do quite a lot just on the Instagram story. Most of that stuff's just done on that.
Yes,
you just have to experiment and play around with it for hours, and I love doing it. I love doing the artwork. I love getting the bands. I love finding bands. I mean, if I see someone walking down the pavement with a guitar, I say, "Are you in a band?" And I've had some of my best bands from just finding on a railway platform. You know what I mean?
Yes. That I do love that one where you're sort of dancing with a guitar next to another woman dancing next to a guitar. Your first of April. Actually, it's last night, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, no, that's the Aprils. Yeah, oh yeah, that's good. I like that one. Yeah, I've only just started doing that AI stuff. Yeah, hey, look, I'm just about to run out of batteries.
Yeah, well, look, Andy, thank you ever so much. I'll send you a link to the interview, then you can always use it elsewhere.
Yeah, when are you going to bring it out? Do you know?
Very soon, because otherwise it just gets forgotten. But I'll do that
All right, thanks, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, take care, Andy. Take care. Thank you ever so much. Amazing.
All right, it's nice talking to you. Been fun.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And that, dear listener, is the end of the interview. A massive thank you to Andy for giving me the time. This has been the C86 Show. David Eastaugh. Have a great week. Stay safe.